Masechet Baba Daf Kuf Ayin Aleph, starting from Kuf Ayin Amud Bet, by the Gemara. The Mishnah had mentioned is mahloket whether or not if a person paid partial of the debt and he wants to either tear up the old document or whatever it is mahloket, whether or not you rip it up or not. Rav Huna, Rav Enel Chagalok could be done. He holds like Rav Huna says that the halacha doesn't feel like anybody. Ella rather bedin mikar inu hashtar. Betin with the document. וכותבים לו שטר אחר מזמן ראשון, and they write another document with the date of the first one. So now that it's not longer $1,000, they write down 500 with the original date. If Rab would have heard of the following Braita, Edim Mikari Shtar, the witnesses tear up the document, Vekotvino Shtar Ahar Mizeman Rishon, they write another document with their earlier date, he would have retracted. He would have agreed with Rabbi Yehuda, right? Rabbi Yehuda, he says that Bettina has to do it. He says no. The Braita says that the Edim could do it. Malay says back to him. Shemi Ali Rav did hear this Braita, but he didn't retract. Why? Bishlam Bedina makes sense. Bedin could be able to replace it. Alime leafkue mamona, because they're able to confiscate money in the first place. Therefore, they can draft a new document. And the Edim but witnesses that already did their job by writing the first document. Can they redo their job again? Who gave them permission? They don't have more authority. Witnesses can rewrite as many documents as they want on a single field. That only applies by gift documents because there's no guarantee, but sale documents you can't, or loan. Only sale documents don't have a guarantee, similar to a gift document, but these type of documents you can't. Okay, what's the Braita that we mentioned? The Tana says, a person had a loan of 1,000 zuz against him. And he paid back half. Witnesses could tear it up. They could rewrite it with the older date. The first document stays, you don't rip it up. They write a receipt for what he paid. And the two reasons why we said write a receipt instead of replacing it. First of all, you could pressure the guy to pay you faster because he has a receipt and he might lose a receipt. Another answer, so that you be able to collect from the original date, and therefore, if you have the original date, you'd be able to collect guarantees and liens from that date. What do you mean? But yeah, we said the other opinion said you have to replace the document, but you could replace the document, but we still agreed that it starts from the same date from before. Why are you worried about the date? Remember, it says, if you're saying that you're able to collect from the original date, I would have disagreed with you with that second part. If you're saying that, I would have said that the first reason regarding the receipt. He's like, but if you want to say from the second date, the replacement document date, I would have disagreed in two things. Right. So I would have disagreed with you, first of all, that you'd be able to collect the loan from the original date, and therefore it's better for the lender to have the original document for those both reasons. A loan that's recorded on Shabbat. Or Yom Kippur. Shtar me'oharhu v'kasher is considered a post-dated document that they did it in July and they post-dated it for middle of Tishrei, and they didn't realize it was Shabbat or Yom Kippur. Rabbi says no, it's pasul. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Malo na'aseh v'alatenecha b'tzipor. We have a story. Ve'echsharta, you said it's kasher. Malo, ve'echsharta be'azeh hechsharta. Only that case I said it was kasher. He says, okay, fine, but you said that in general, you said pasul. What are you disagreeing on? Mar says, but that everybody agrees. Shem huzkan onata shel shtar. If we calculate the date of the star, then nimset onato mechuvenet b'Shabbat o ba'aser b'Shrei, and the date found out landed on Shabbat or Yom Kippur. Sheshtar meucharu v'nech kasher. Obviously, in that case, if it's if the document shows that's post dated and it happened to be out on the post statement was on Kippur or Shabbat, that's fine. It's machloket ela b'shtar me'ohar ba'alma, where it looks like a regular post dated document. There's no way that it looks. There's no other evidence that points that it's a post dated document. He holds you don't want a receipt, and no disaster can happen. We'll explain that in a second. He holds like himself as well. You do allow receipts instead of returning original documents. Then afik min hurba, and he if you might have a disaster happening. So mahloket based over here, what do we generally allow um post dated documents or not? And are we worried about this disaster happening? So the Gemara says, what could disaster could happen? Because later on we're going to say that the borrower might borrow flus, give the guy the document post dated 6 months later. He'll repay it. The lender will say, "Oh, um, I can't get it back to you because I lost the document. So don't worry, I'll write your receipt." And then the post date will come. He'll quote unquote find the document, bring it to Batin, and say, "Hey, you stole my money." And therefore, we don't want post dated, even the receipt, because there's no way to prove that this document was post dated, and therefore he'll be able to collect twice. I feel the according to the opinion hold that you do write receipts in general. That only applies for partial payment. Of a kudalo, you don't write receipts for a full payment. Below here, but it's not true. I feel the bekula and you allow receipts on full loans. He had that because the story of a masik he had a loan against Rabbi Abba. Sorry. Atlak Med Rabbi Hanina Barbavi asked the question. He said to him, have this give me money. He says, take my doc, give me my document, Yani, give me the loan document, and I'll pay you back. He says, no, Sharach, Shtanach Irkas, they lost the document. I told the Tavra, but I'll write you a receipt. He says, no, Harav Shmuel, the Metivayo. Rav and Shmuel both say, and it sure we don't have receipts. He says back to him, Man Yahim Afred Rav Shmuel, Raminan Manana, who will give the dust of Rav and Shmuel that we can put in our eyes, Yani. He's praising them. He's like, however, Harabiya, Hanan Baheresh, these rabbis, Amar Tevayo, Kotvin Shuvar, we do allow receipts. Vechem Kiata Rabin Barei Elai, Kotvin Shuvar, we're able to write receipts to collect loans. Umistavra the Kotvin Shuvar. In the halacha, makes sense to say that we actually do allow receipts to collect loans if you don't have a document. The Isa and Kotvin Shuvar, because if you don't have receipts, Avash Shiro, if the lender lost his document, Yohal Hala the other guy should just, the borrower could just eat the money, Yani, quote unquote, or just keep the loan and that's it. Must keep the bear. That's the question. By the way, what do you want to do? Kotvin Shuvar, you write a receipt and Alvat Shivras, now the borrower's receipt is lost. Yochal Halava Hadeh, now the lender can collect twice. Potentially, the Gemara says, Amar Le yeah, as we said in the Mishnah, yes, the borrower takes more risk. Eved Level Ishmael, borrower is a servant to the lender. You don't want the lender to get turned off, and therefore the borrower has to have higher risk. Then I'm not the Mishnah. Post dated documents, pre-dated documents for debt loans are pasul. Post dated are kasha. Loan. Sale documents. Even post dated are pasul. My time why? Might buy land, sell someone land in Nissan. Mr. Shen, he'll write a document to him post dated 6 months. Money will come back to him during those 6 months. He'll buy it back. However, the original buyer still has a document that's post dated for Tishrei. What's going to happen when Tishrei will arrive? He'll take out the document. I have proof. I have a document that says that you sold to me in Tishrei. I bought it back from you. That's the case that we're worried about that. How come we're not worried about loans? As if Benisan will borrow Nissan. He'll post date it for 6 months later. In the meantime, he'll get money, he'll pay back. When the guy said, I'll give you my document, because I lost it, because it's a receipt, when the time comes, he'll put it out and say, this is new money that you borrowed. How come we're not worried about loans? How come we only worried about sales? The Gemara says no. The reason is because we don't write receipts for loans. Nowadays, the Kasvin we do write post-dated documents. But we also write receipts. Why do we do that? Aren't we worried about these type of fraudsters? He answered him, because Rabbi Abba used to tell his scribes and sophers, when you write post-dated documents, you should write this in the document. We didn't write a document date on this document. We post-dated it. And therefore, if someone tries to collect that post-dated document, they won't believe him. He says, okay, very nice, you had that. Nowadays, we don't write that clause. So how do we still do the post-dated documents? He says, because Safra told his scribes, when you write receipts for documents, if you know the original date of the document, write it. You know the document date, write it out date. Whenever the loan document is brought, it'll negate it and the guy won't be able to collect anymore. So he says, again, Nowadays, we don't do any of these clauses in the documents, and yet we still do post-dated documents. Amar says yes. Hachamim made safeguards for people to do to avoid getting messed over, to avoid getting scammed. Manda avid avid, whoever does this post-dated documents, he's putting himself at risk. Manda lo avid, whoever does not do it, Yani he'll bring loss on himself. So Yani, a person who does this clauses into his documents, protecting himself. If he doesn't protect himself, that's his problem, and he deserves it.